Hello, listener. This is Deborah Atkinson. And as I record this now, we are still in the middle of COVID-19. And I wanted to let you know that I've held some episodes back from releasing them, some that I had recorded before we all got caught in COVID-19. And I wanted to put out things that were more related, more immediately necessary, and what I felt would be more important and useful to you and serve you better at the time. This is one of those episodes that was kind of sitting on my desktop staring at me. And it was recorded prior to COVID-19, but I feel like the topic and my guest, as she addressed the topic, is still so very relevant for what you might be going through, and that you might find it a great source of support. So let's face it, we are still women, potentially in the middle of life, going through menopause or some phase of it, preparing for it, dealing with it, or the aftermath in postmenopause. And all of those are still going to influence somehow our immunity, our ability to sleep and take care of ourselves. And so this topic today is so very relevant. And you will find that as I add additional podcasts, we will at times divert from talking only specifically about your immune system and about COVID-19, but always be addressing those topics that are most important and serve you best. So I hope you find that's true. And I love hearing from you. So whether you share your comments in iTunes at the Flipping 50 podcast or below the show notes at flipping50.com/podcasts, where you can find all of them from every single episode. I'm listening. I read every single one and respond with content relative to that. So let's go. Do you love essential oils, or do you want to love them? You want to know more about how you use specific blends or individual essential oils to get the benefits that you hear everyone talking about. My guest today is Jodi Cohen. She's a best-selling author, and she's the founder of Vibrant Blue Oils. Plus, she's one of us. Hi, I'm Deborah Atkinson, and you're listening to Flipping 50, where I address your top questions and the struggles and challenges you have. I share what to eat, how to move, and how to change your thinking so you can get the energy and the vitality that you want in this second and better half. Jodi Sternoff Cohen, and she is a best-selling author, award-winning journalist, a dog owner, I can hear, functional practitioner, and founder of Vibrant Blue Oils. And all of my listeners know that Truman goes in and out of video, so we don't mind pets here. Pets are allowed. So Jodi's combined her training in nutritional therapy and aromatherapy to create unique proprietary blends of organic and wildcrafted essential oils. She's helped over 50,000 clients heal from brain-related challenges, including anxiety, insomnia, and autoimmunity. For the past 10 years, she has lectured at wellness centers, conferences, and corporations on brain health, essential oils, stress, and detoxification. She's been seen in the New York Times, Wellness Mama, Elephant Journal, and numerous other publications. Her website, vibrantblueoils.com, is visited by over 300,000 natural health seekers every year, and she has rapidly become a top resource for essential oils education on the internet today. Jodi, thanks so much for being here.
Oh my God, it's such an honor, and especially now that I'm part of the Over 50 Club.
Oh, so good. All right. Is this recent?
November, so not so recent.
Yeah, well, happy birthday belated.
Thank you.
How's the flip been for you so far?
You know what? The best part of this flip is I don't flip and care what anyone thinks anymore. My boundaries have never been better. It's fascinating.
I love that expression. All right. So let's dive into this. My listeners actually love essential oils. We've had this discussion a couple of times, and yet I probably have gotten schooled here as much or maybe more than some of my listeners have. So let's just dive into really how can essential oils help you, me, listeners, flip 50?
The coolest thing about essential oils is that it doesn't really matter how well your digestion is working. Like most of us, when we hit 50, our gallbladder might not be flowing the bile so well. Our stomach acid might not, be kind of assimilating the proteins and breaking them down. But it doesn't matter because you can topically apply oils. Anyone who's used hormonal creams or nicotine patches knows that anything you put on your skin gets in your blood in 20 minutes. It's a really direct route, which is also really great as we're, getting 50 and our adrenals might be getting tired and need more help, or we might be more fatigued, or, we might walk in the pantry and be, wait a minute, why did I go in here? What was I looking for? And the other great thing about oils is that our channel of smell, our olfactory channel, is actually brain cells. So it goes directly into the brain, and it's the best way to calm mood. In fact, another over 50 researcher here in Seattle, her name is Linda Buck. She was doing all this detailed research on olfactory receptors, and she identified some that were correlated with the fear response, predator, odor, fire, that kind of stuff. And then she took it one step further and said, I wonder if anything would cancel this out. And it's the smell of rose oil. So stopping to smell the roses, there's a lot of validity there. That
Oh
is a
my
really
gosh.
great way to calm fear and anxiety.
That is amazing. Okay. While you were talking, I have to bring this up because very recently online, and this is a total surprise to Jodi. So, listeners, I want you to know I'm throwing her for a loop. Somebody was saying, please stop, please stop. Those of you who are saying you can balance hormones with essential oils, please stop. What is your reaction to that? And what do you think prompted that comment in the first place?
Well, I see both sides of I can kind of argue for both sides. So here's the deal. Essential oils are not hormones, and they should not be used as hormones. But what they are is they're really good at cleaning the cell receptors. So everything starts in the cell, and the way it gets into the cell is through the cellular membrane. And on your cellular membrane, you have receptors. And that is what hormones link into, like a lock and key. And endocrine disrupting toxins like the BPA and plastic, that's what blocks those. So one of the reasons that, we can become estrogen dominant, or men can start to have estrogenic symptoms like breasts and, extra weight, is because these endocrine disrupting hormones kind of latch into the keys, the cell receptors, and block our natural hormones from getting in there. And that's one thing that essential oils can help do. They can help to clean up those cellular receptors for many reasons, but mostly because of the way they're structured. They're super, super small and fat soluble. So just like all the barriers in our body, the blood-brain barrier, the gut barrier, our cellular membranes are barriers, and they only let really small fat soluble things in there. So that's one way they can work. The other thing that happens with our hormones, there's certain organs that are pretty involved in, the liver is the main one. It produces cholesterol from which hormones are derived. It helps to detoxify old hormones. If your liver and your gallbladder are not working at their best, that can really throw off your hormone balance. Similarly, your adrenal glands produce cortisol. Now, the precursor to that is pregnenolone that can either be used to produce hormones like progesterone or produce cortisol. And since your body always wants to survive, it prioritizes survival. So if your adrenals are kind of in high alert and going haywire, they're going to require more cholesterol. And so your pregnenolone is going to go towards producing that and not progesterone. So I have found, I don't think oils are not hormones. I think there are lots of options. All roads lead to Rome. Everyone gets to pick the way they go. But what I found as an over 50 woman who is definitely estrogen dominant and was having a lot of those really intense symptoms, what I've been doing for myself is using oils to support my liver, my gallbladder, and my adrenals. And I've noticed, I'm much less of a bitch. I remember a lot more. I'm not nearly as exhausted, and my periods are not, I'm still getting my period, and they were, it was like a flood for a while, and it's really calmed down.
Awesome. Okay, so let me summarize. In my
Sorry for the overshare.
No, I think it was great. I just want to go back and make sure if I can say it simplistically, then my listeners I know have gotten it. So if I heard you right, basically very clear, essential oils are not hormones and they don't necessarily balance hormones, but they support hormone balance.
Exactly.
Okay. So second part, kind of how they do it is they're great at kind of like a big sister. So if I got this correctly, they go in and they kind of kick out those endocrine disruptors that are sitting on the receptors so that
Exactly.
hormones. Okay, perfect.
Exactly. They bring the body back to balance so that the hormones can do their job.
Awesome. Love it. Okay, so I think anybody listening would say, or I'm guessing because I think it sounds awesome to me that this is a natural source. It smells good, right? I mean, who doesn't love that? But for me, starting was overwhelming. It's like, oh my God, where do I begin? Do I just do
Yes.
one? And then people are talking about these blends. Are you kidding me? So give me the 101 version of what are the best oils to support us and what's the best way to use them?
Yeah, that's a great question. It's funny. I got into oils at one of my rock bottoms. My ex husband had to be hospitalized, and my kids were 5 and 7, and my adrenals just collapsed, and I couldn't get out of bed. And nothing I was doing nutritionally or with supplements seemed to be helping. So someone showed up with oils and said, "These are going to help you." I said, "Great. What do I do?" And they said, "You know what? You're super smart. You're just going to figure it out." And they left. And I was so mentally and physically exhausted, I just didn't even have the bandwidth to Google. So, because I had been supporting people with supplements, I'm like, I'm just going to muscle test these. I've been doing that for 5 years, the way I muscle test supplements. And I know it's my adrenals, so that's what I'm going to test for. And normally when I test, it's pretty obvious. I usually get one winner. But I got 5 things, and I thought, okay, that's so weird. And it was a really strong response. And then I realized, oh, I'm supposed to make a blend. And so I tested, 5 drops of this one, 7 of this one, and I made what is now the adrenal blend and put it on my low back and got my energy back, and then just really started to heal, because once you have your energy, it's easier to heal. And when I was feeling more like myself, I went online to look this up. What is this? What's it doing? And I realized 2 things. Not only was no one looking at it the way I was looking at it, but they made it so incredibly complicated. If I had started by doing research, kind of like what you were saying, I would have been completely overwhelmed. And so what I like to say is, we can bake our own bread, we can make our own butter, we can do all these things ourselves, or we can just go to the supermarket to buy them. And most people do some combination of both. We do home cooking, but maybe we don't churn our own butter. I have created blends that I use in a very aligned way to balance the body's physiology. So it hopefully takes the guesswork out of it. And I've been doing this for over 10 years now. I work with a lot of practitioners. So the blend, go ahead. The blend that I like the best is a combination of clove and lime. You put it right behind your earlobe on that bone. That's your mastoid bone. And that basically activates your body's own healing. It turns on the state of the nervous system that allows you to digest your food, eliminate your toxins, and support your immune system.
Wow, that's awesome. So clove and lime.
Clove
Did
and
I get
lime. Yeah. And
awesome?
well, it's interesting. I can explain this a little bit more, but what you're actually doing is stimulating your vagus nerve
Yeah.
to drop into your parasympathetic state, which allows you to rest, digest, and heal.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. I want to back up to you said something that I think to some listeners may be distracting if they don't understand what it is. Can you describe what muscle testing is?
Absolutely. There is
Yeah.
this idea that your body has an innate intelligence, and that if you can just ask it questions, like sometimes if you've ever craved chocolate around your period, that's your body needing magnesium.
That never happened. Yeah.
Never once. If you ever like crave a hamburger, like a lot of my friends were kind of vegetarian and then they got pregnant and they couldn't eat enough red meat, that was because they needed iron, because the fetus needed iron. Anyway, what I'm saying is that your body knows what it needs. And so sometimes it presents that in craving food. Sometimes when you're so exhausted, you just have to take a nap, or you crave water, or you just kind of know on some level. And there is a way that one of my mentors, this Dr. Dietrich Klinghardt, has found to ask the body questions. And they do that by either pressing on your arm or having a surrogate touch you and you press on their arm. And it's a series of questions in a very specific order that allows you to ascertain what the body needs most at the moment and what the priority is.
Very cool. Appreciate that. Thank you. And I know some of you listeners are very familiar with that. Others maybe not so. So I just wanted you to be able to picture that and understand what that is. Awesome. Okay. So you're telling me I don't have to have a huge kit with a lot of different oils. Actually, you've done all the blending for me and I don't have to figure it out.
Exactly. And you don't have to buy one a month. Yeah. What I found, what's interesting to me about blending, when I started to look at all of the research, there's a trend. All of the research seems to show that oils in combination do more than single oils. So even though the single oils that I love are lavender, blue tansy, and frankincense, I think they all are amazing. But when you combine them with other oils, it's kind of like a good marriage. They're better together than they are individually. They just amplify and support each other. And it's not that they change each other, but I'll give you an example. So clove and lime. Clove is highly stimulatory and very high in this constituent called eugenol that has amazing antioxidant properties. It's antiviral, antibacterial. That's one of the reasons that clove was used in dentistry, both to kind of dull pain and also to clean out the mouth. Lime has super, super small molecules. So when you combine them, you have this highly stimulatory oil with super small molecules, which means it gets into your system faster.
Very cool. Okay, so we teased a little bit about insomnia at the beginning, and I know that a lot of ears perked up because that's such a common problem. And I love to point out whenever we mention this that nobody listening is a victim. There are a lot of things that you can do. So essential oils being one, what are some specifics that can help sleep?
Yeah, well, the first thing that I want to share that I found is that there are different sleep problems. There's not a one size fits all bullet, because either you're having problems falling asleep, and that's one issue, or you fall asleep really quickly, but then at 1 or 2 in the morning, you are so wide awake, you could go do your laundry. So speaking first to troubles falling asleep, that's correlated with the sleep hormones, cortisol and melatonin. So melatonin is the sleep hormone. And ideally, it's released by the pineal gland, which is interestingly located between the eyes because it's triggered by darkness. So if, for example, you're someone who's addicted to your device and you're on your device and the light's throwing off your own natural balance of when it gets dark and when to release melatonin, that might be part of the problem. Or the other big issue is that your body prioritizes survival. So if it thinks it's in danger, it's not going to let you fall asleep. And that can be not only, the historic lion chasing you, or, you're driving in traffic and you think the car next to you is changing lanes and doesn't see you, but any kind of worry or fear, because the body can't differentiate between your own internal anxiety and an external stress. So if you're worried about, some presentation the next day or something with your relationships or finances, and you're thinking about it, you could be physically exhausted, but the worry is releasing the stress hormone cortisol, and that's keeping your melatonin from being released. But the super cool thing about your olfactory channel, your inhalation to your nose, is that it goes right near your pineal gland. So you can smell oils or a combination of oils that can balance your pineal gland to naturally release melatonin, and that's a great backdoor to anxiety. My daughter used to she was fine during the day, and then at night she would become this OCD anxiety mess who had to, like, wash her hands and brush her teeth multiple times, make sure all the doors were closed. And I started using oils to help naturally release melatonin, and all of that fell away.
Wow. Super cool. Okay. So, yes, falling asleep, one problem, staying asleep, another problem. What's going on there?
So there could be three things going on. There could be kind of the wide awake, alert night wakings. That's called nighttime hypoglycemia. That's blood sugar related. So, well,
Yep.
the three issues are either blood sugar, detox, or hormones. So if it's blood sugar, the symptoms look like 2 a.m. you're wide awake. And what happens is your blood sugar drops while you're sleeping. Your body again prioritizes survival. So your adrenals release cortisol, adrenaline, which wake you right up. You are wide awake, and that sugar needs to be carried. Your pancreas releases the hormone insulin to carry that sugar into your cells so you can fall back asleep. So we have a pancreas blend, or rose geranium is a great oil that just helps you. If you smell it, it helps the pancreas kind of turn on and carry the sugar into the cells a little bit faster, so it's easier to fall back asleep.
Great.
The other kind of night waking is like, it's around 3 a.m. Maybe you get up to go to the bathroom. You're slightly groggy, but you can usually fall back asleep. That's usually in Chinese medicine, they talk about certain times of day when certain organs are working harder. Liver time is around 3 a.m. So especially if you're doing any kind of detox protocol or anything that might be mobilizing more toxins and making the liver work harder, that's often when you wake up. And helichrysum is a great oil for the liver, white grapefruit. We have a blend. You can combine it with castor oil. Castor oil packs can be as complicated or as simple as you want them to be. The complicated version is that you take castor oil and soak a burlap cloth in it, put it over your liver, which is on the right side of your body, under your breast, cover it with plastic, and then cover it with either a heating pad or a hot water bottle, and let it sit for 20 minutes. That's complicated.
Or the Queen of Thrones has a castor oil pack.
Yes, they do. Or you could just be the lazy man castor oil pack and just put castor oil on the right side of your body under your breast and wear a ratty t-shirt. And you can combine that with essential oils, and that the heat from your body heats it up. So depending on how much time and energy you have, there you have options.
Perfect. Okay. So did we cover them? So blood sugar
And then
detox.
the final one is hormones, and hormones are often supported by supporting the liver, or if you're having hot flashes, rose geranium.
Rose geranium is a popular oil.
It's amazing.
Okay. I think you're going to potentially have a run on them. Okay, I love that. Okay, and so the other swing of mood, and you described, I think every woman goes through this anxiety and stress. I mean, they're just like, it's a roller coaster, right?
Anxiety and
So
stress, and sometimes I just feel like a raging bitch. Like I just just to overshare, which is also the liver. Liver holds kind of anger, and so that really triggers that, like, PMS, like I'm just cranky.
okay, how do we get rid of it?
Well, I want to share a really fun trick for anxiety that I learned from our colleague Titus Chu. So different sides of the brain, basically you want to balance the brain. And so sometimes one side is overactive. And so the way you balance that out is to activate the other side. So he noticed that when you're feeling anxious, that's the right frontal part of your brain. So just touch your right forehead, that's overactivating. And so the way to balance that out is to activate your left forehead. And what's really cool about your olfactory channel is that if you smell something, it goes directly from outside of your nose to that right, or to the frontal part of your brain. So you can just smell something. It could be lavender you buy in the store through your left nostril. And that will balance the brain and calm anxiety and panic attacks. I used to be prone to panic attacks, truthfully, in the supermarket checkout line. It was the most frustrating experience because, I had a whole family. I would find everything they wanted, be waiting in line. And for some reason, the line would take forever. And my heart would start racing and I'd start feeling really hot. And there were times that I would abandon the cart, which was so frustrating. But since I don't leave home, I use our parasympathetic blend and smell that, but anything will do. And it's pretty amazing because when you're mid panic attack and you feel yourself coming down, it works.
Wow, that is awesome. Very cool. Okay.
And for angry feelings, I love, you can use kind of anything, but blue tansy, which is a really amazing oil from Morocco. I love that, and I apply it just over my heart. Rose oil works too. It anything that you can do to kind of calm yourself and put yourself in balance. The parasympathetic oil helps. The example I use, I don't know if you've had days when you're driving and someone cuts you off, and for whatever reason it doesn't upset you. You like the song on the radio, you just came from like a lunch with a good friend, it's all good. And
Right.
another day, the exact same situation happens, and four-letter words are flying out of your mouth. And
Yes.
the only difference is you and kind of how resilient you are in that moment. And so the more you can navigate life from a place of resilience, the more the little things that come along that you have no control over don't really bother you. So that's really my goal, is just to empower women to know, you have absolutely no control over what kind of mood your kids are in, what kind of mood your husband's in. If, you're planning a great outdoor concert and it's pouring rain, none of that is within your control. The only thing you can control is how you choose to respond. And the more you're coming from a state of balance, the easier it is for you to respond without things bothering you.
Love that. And I would have to guess that many of the solutions you've already given us are going to help do this, but cravings are a big thing. So let's say to all listeners, I'm saying this to you, you're overhearing me say it to Jodi, right? That you're exercising appropriately, not so much that you're creating cravings, and that you are, doing the right thing and eating adequate amounts of food and of the right kind. But you're still, maybe potentially because of lack of sleep or hormone issues, experiencing cravings. Jodi, are there things that we can do with essential oils to help that?
Absolutely. And I actually, I'm working on my book on essential oils for the brain, and I found some great research on this. So cravings come from the part of your brain called the hypothalamus. That is what's kind of monitoring, like, do I have enough food in my system? Do I need less? Do I need more? And it's releasing different hormones that either stimulate satiety, fullness, or I want more food. And what's super cool is that your olfactory nerve goes directly into your hypothalamus. So there's a lot of research that smelling peppermint calms down your hypothalamus and eliminates cravings. And the one thing I've been playing with, are you familiar with oil pulling? Do you know what that is?
I do, as in coconut oil pulling?
Yes. So
Yes.
I've been making little coconut oil chews. Katie Wells of Wellness Mama has this
Yeah.
recipe. It's like half a cup of coconut oil and 30 drops of peppermint. And you put it in those little plastic candy trays and it hardens in the refrigerator in like 5 minutes. So when I'm really hungry, I put one of those in my mouth. It kind of tastes like a peppermint patty. I swish it around, for 10 or 15 minutes, spit it out. It gets all the oil pulling fat likes fat. And so a lot of the bacteria in your mouth are fat based. And so if you swish oil around in your mouth, it pulls the fat kind of out of the gums and gets into the oil. Then you spit it out. And it does two things. I've been noticing my teeth are whiter and I'm not hungry. There's something about that makes me feel like I ate a peppermint patty. In part
Wow.
because when you're swishing it around, you're smelling it. But yeah, it's really powerful.
That is awesome. What a great tip. Okay. Love it. All right. Hardest question of the day.
Okay.
Because I think you've been a wealth of information. I mean, a wealth as far as I think those tips on falling asleep and the reasons why getting into the I think everybody knows listening here that it might be getting to sleep, falling asleep, or waking too early, but digging into the why behind that was really helpful. This question is there a question I should have asked you? What did we miss?
I think the only question that, two questions. So, I am my own clientele, and the issue that I see most often with myself and other people, um, forgetfulness, fatigue, and gaining weight. And the two root causes of those that we haven't talked about are kind of supporting your adrenal glands, which help you have all kinds of energy, mental energy and physical energy. And also, too much cortisol helps you hold on to weight. And so, the one thing that I've noticed about the adrenal glands, if anyone has ever kind of taken saliva samples to see your cortisol levels, it's never a flat line. It's supposed to be really high in the morning, so you have energy to wake up, and then get lower at night so that you can fall asleep. It's usually high in the places when it's supposed to be low, and low in the places where it's supposed to be high. And you can there are certain supplements that raise cortisol levels, certain supplements that suppress them, but it's a little bit like whack-a-mole. You're trying to guess. And the thing I love about plants, adaptogenic herbs like licorice, rhodiola, ashwagandha, and essential oils, is that they meet you where you're at. So if you're exhausted, they give you energy. If you're, anxious and too busy, like caffeinated, they calm you down. And so you can apply, we've got an amazing blend. You can apply them over your adrenals. Frankincense works as well, and just help you kind of hit that middle ground so that you're not exhausted and you're not completely, spastic. And the other thing is gallbladder. The older you get, the more your gallbladder stores and concentrates a substance called bile, which both breaks down fats, so for like the ketogenic diet, and carries toxins out of your system. And it's supposed to flow kind of like water, but it can get a little viscous like molasses. And so essential oils are a really good tool, especially like black cumin, for just making that flow a little bit easier. And when you do that, you're helping to carry old toxins and hormones out of the body so that it's not reabsorbed.
So good. Awesome. That is super helpful. All right, Jodi, where is the best place for listeners to get more Jodi?
Oh, well, the best place is to click on the link below to get more information about the parasympathetic blend and a coupon to buy it. They can also email me at info@Vibrant Blue Oils, which is my site, VIBRANT, blue like the color oils. And we get back to people within 24 hours. Or they can look at Vibrant Blue Oils and get more information on the blends we talked about.
So good. Thanks so much, listeners. I know if you're walking, you're lifting, or you're commuting, I've got you covered. All of the links to reach Jodi, follow her on social, interact, are in the show notes. And you will find that at flipping50.com/blue oils today. That's blue oils, OILS. And if you have a question that I missed, leave it below the show link. And if this was helpful, I'd love it if you leave us a rating in iTunes. It really helps. And what are you waiting for? Let's start flipping 50 together.